people were allowed to be here during an ongoing mission. You had the families of the astronauts who could be here 24/7, come talk to their loved ones. We've had every president from Lyndon B. Johnson to George W. Bush. We've had Queen Elizabeth who joined us for a space shuttle mission in 1991. She sat in the third seat in the front row, so we placed a Burger King little crown on there as well of her presence. We've also had a lot of celebrities come through here. More recently, we have had Kate Morrow from The Martian. We've had the entire cast of Hidden Figures. And we just had Ryan Gosling here about 3 weeks ago, who's doing some research on an Apollo 11 movies in the end. So quite a lot of celebrities. More in the past, we've had Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, Tom Hanks, Ron Howard, Kevin Bacon for doing Apollo 13. So quite a lot of people come through this room. Now coming into here, if you look all the way to the right-hand side wall, you'll see those mission plaques from all the missions we operated out of here. These plaques were actually designed by the astronauts. They sit down with the graphic designer and design them however they like, as long as they pertain to their mission. And since each mission was always different, each plaque was always designed differently. Just below them, you're going to see that American flag flying. This flag has actually been to the moon and back twice. The way that works, we have 2 flags we take to the moon. Our primary flag is located on the outside of the capsule. The astronauts would retrieve that once they're doing a moonwalk. That one didn't come down though. They could go back inside the capsule and get a backup flag out. So during Apollo 17, these men knew they were going to be the last ones to walk on the moon for quite some time. So they actually asked Mission Control if they could have the flag from Apollo 13 that never got to get planted so they could take it to the moon to fulfill its destiny. They gave it to them, they put it in the capsule, and after they planted their primary flag, they went back inside. They got the Apollo 13 flag, placed it on the moon, took their picture saluting it, brought it back inside, and brought it here to Mission Control. They thank you for keeping us safe over the years of hard work. So that flag has been flying there ever since 1972, and believe it or not, they bought it at a local Sears for about 85 cents. About $5 in today's money. Now coming into these consoles here, there's a few things that you won't find. You won't find a keyboard, a mouse, and one other electronic device. Now, any of the kids here know what this strange looking device might be. Oh yeah, a lot of the adults are chuckling from it. Parents, go ahead, help them out. What is this? Slide rules, yes. I like to call this a prehistoric calculator. So kids, this is what you used to do math on before calculators were invented. They didn't have them at this time. So they did all of their math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, even calculus on this thing. Please don't ask me to demonstrate. I have no idea how in the world this thing works at all. I was not raised in that era. I just pull out my phone. I got the answer in a few seconds. But yes, this is what the astronauts and the flight directors would use during that time. Technology here was quite primitive. You look at these consoles, those screens aren't even computers. These were just data monitors. They're receiving data sent by the astronauts in the capsule, reviewing the information, just making sure the mission was going safe in space. Now we did have computers back then. They're called IBM Mainframe 360 series. One of them was about the size of this room and took 10 people to operate. We had 5 in total, all on the ground floor. The total memory and processing power for all 5 was about 8 megabytes. So to put that in perspective, if you've taken about 7 to 8 pictures on your phone today, you just used up more memory available than we had to send our astronauts to the moon and bring them back home safely. Not much at all. I've actually been told you can run all of the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo missions from one app on your phone and still have memory left over. Quite amazing. It's all due to technology that we've had advanced over the years, all thanks to NASA. So you are welcome. Now coming to the positioning here, in the very middle of the room is the flight director. This is the most important position we have. They're the boss of this room. Everybody reports to them, and they have the final decision on anything that goes on. They have so much power here, nobody's allowed to tell them what to do, not even the president. We had it during the Apollo program. One of the missions, the president came through and wanted to change something up. The flight director disagreed with them, and they had a big argument. He said, "Mr. President, you're being disruptive. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. If you don't comply, I'm going to have security come escort you out." They have the ability to do so here at Mission Control, even to this day. So far, we found a loophole in the system. Only one person is allowed to tell a flight director what to do, and that has been their wives. Just ahead of that, you'll see the Flight Operations Director desk with the little capsule sitting on top. You might recognize them. We still use them today to go to the bank, do a drive-through, to talk to the teller, that pneumatic tube system. But back then, this was like our text message or emailing system. You put your message inside, you put it through a little hatch next to it, and you get your message from one place to another quite quickly throughout the buildings. Now, so many of these were being sent to Mission Control during Apollo 13 when we were trying to find a way to save our astronauts. The entire front row was filled with them, almost stacked 3 feet high. The flight director of the time, Gene Kranz, He said that it reminded him of these high caliber ammunition shells that had been left over the trenches all over the war when he was fighting in Vietnam. So they nicknamed that front row the trench after that mission. Now next to that, in this public affairs officer desk, you can see this speaker box on top. Now from this speaker, we've had many famous words. Some of the most famous, probably in the history of mankind, come through here. First of them happening on July 20th, 1969 at 3:18 in the afternoon. We heard the first words ever spoken from the surface of the moon. Houston, Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed. A few hours later, you heard Neil Armstrong say his famous, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." From here, we've also heard Apollo 13's distress call, "Houston, we've had a problem here." And then Apollo 17's last words ever spoken on the surface of the moon, 1972, we heard, "We're on our way home, Houston." So if you've listened closely enough, you might have noticed Houston was not only the first, but also the last words spoken from the surface of the moon. And here in Houston, Texas, we do take a lot of pride in having those words. And it's just about all the time that I have with y'all today. Does anyone have any quick questions? Y'all came all the way out to NASA and have no questions about NASA? Here you go. Yes, ma'am.
What does the flight surgeon do?
So, flight surgeon, this is something I'm very experienced in. This is a position we still have today. My dad actually is one of the flight surgeons. This is the doctor to the astronauts. They actually come through every morning to the astronauts aboard the ISS. They talk to them, making sure they do a physical and medical evaluation, making sure they're up to do their job for the day. The astronauts aboard the ISS spend about 6 months up there before coming back home. So it is quite hard work. They'll do hundreds of experiments by the time they're up there. So anything that has to be done medically, that's what they go through. Any medical problems, got bumps, bruises from bouncing around the ISS, they have to report that to the flight surgeon, just making sure everything's okay there. So yes. Any others? Conspiracy theories? Past, present, future. Anything about NASA? Yes, ma'am.
What do you have to say about the moon landing being staged?
Oh gosh, where do I start? So, I'll point out the big, conspiracy factors. There's always something about shadows, like shadows that shouldn't be there or should be there. The moon is very reflective. That's why we can see it so easily at night. It's the sun's rays, light hitting off the moon, reflecting to us. So there's a lot of shadows that should be there when they're not, and that's just because of the reflection from the sun bouncing off different parts of the moon. There's been the wind. People say the flag was waving in the wind. Well, they actually have a rod going across the top of the flag, which holds it tight, just kind of like that one there. They would also have the air molecules would be sucked out from the flag because there's no air in space. Everything would be gone.